Hey everyone, welcome back to Wyshtech Airsoft. Today, we got a new contender in the brushless motor battle, the Solink 28K budget motor. They call this one the LITE. We're going to pit it against the same OEM motor and T238's 28K budget brushless motor to see how they compare in speed, efficiency, and power. So stick around because by the end of this video, we'll find out which motor really brings the heat. With that being said, let's go to the bench. Okay, here's the lineup. First, the OEM motor, our trusty baseline for these tests. Then the Solink's 28K budget brushless motor, a new entry we're excited to try. And the T238's budget 28K motor, which has performed well in our previous test. All motors will be tested with the good old GMB 11.1 3060C 1500 mAh LiPo in the same AEG set for fair comparison. By the way, you will find the links to everything in this video in the description. Okay, to make this a fair comparison, I'll be using the same upgraded SEMA Sport M4 from the previous T238 budget motor video. By the way, if you're curious on how the T238's budget brushless motor performed in its original review, I'll link it to the top right corner of this video. Just click on that card and you can check it out. Anyway, here's a quick recap of the rifle's internal specs, all of which play a role in each motor's performance for amperage pull and rounds per second. Number 1, the Payron version 2 hybrid electronic trigger unit. Number 2, M120 spring. Number 3, the J-Bond 18-1 gear set, Wyshtech edition, short stroke by 2 teeth. Number 4, Airtech Studios Night Stalker piston. Number 5, 4X SEMA solid 8mm bushings. Number 6, SEMA 8mm bearings for the bevel gear only. And number 7, carefully shimmed for proper gear meshing. For power consumption, I'll be using the Toolkit RC watt meter to measure max amperage pull, displaying only the highest amp draw recorded by the meter. We'll also be testing each motor's rounds per second at the chrono, which serves as a baseline trigger response. Higher rounds per second indicates faster shots. So it'll be interesting to see how each motor performs. I kind of already got an idea with these two, but Solink is in question. Alright, to kick things off, I'm going to go ahead and put the OEM motor that actually came with this rifle originally in here, and we'll get our baseline amperage. Alright, this is just going to be a test shot to make sure I get the motor height set right. Sounds pretty good. Okay. Let's go ahead and connect our watt meter. Okay, right here is going to be where the amperage gets displayed at the maximum. So I'm going to do 10 shots in semi and see where that goes. 25.1 amps. Hell yeah. Alright, there's our baseline. Alright, I'm just going to do a 1 second, let's make it a 2 second burst and see where the amperage goes. .9 amps in full auto. I'm going to pull that motor out and then we're going to move on to the Solink motor. And after the Solink motor, we'll do the T238 motor. Out with the OEM, and in goes Mr. Solink motor. One thing I noticed right off the bat, trying to plug this connector in, is that these prongs for the Solink motor are thinner than the ones on the Solink, and even about the same thickness as the OEM motors. So yeah, these went on pretty, like, too easy. So what I'm gonna have to do is use my pair of handy dandy pliers, do a little pinchy winchy, and slide it on. There. And do the same thing with the black one, I'm sure. Yep. Negative wires need some loving too. Got my clutch set on my screw gun so I don't over tighten these screws. And since I backed off the set screw off of the OEM motor, I'm going to have to put a screw back in to get the motor height set right. Alright. Now I'm going to make sure my motor height is set. I'm just going to shoot it once or twice in semi and listen to the gears. It's a little too tight, I can hear it. I'm going to back it off just a tiny bit. Okay, it's better. Plug it in the watt meter. And now the battery. And now we're going to shoot our 10 rounds and see what kind of amperage we get. Way lower than OEM. Look at that. Half of what OEM. Guess I should have added proper motor height to the amperage, but I could definitely hear if the motor height's not set right just by listening to it. Now, typically with brushless motors, amperage is usually higher in full auto, whereas brush motors, it's the opposite. Here we go. All right, about the same, but significantly lower than OEM or brush motor. Look at that, 15.2 amps, full auto. Using up nearly half the juice. And it sounds like it's shooting faster. Okay. I'm going to pull out Solink and put in the T238. While I'm pulling out the Solink motor, there's one other thing I wanted to point out with the Solink motor versus the T238. If you look at the end bells is the end of the motor, you can see that this right here has more depth than the T238 brushless motor. Never seen this much depth on the back end right here. This guy right here, this amount of depth on a brushless motor before. So this is new. I don't know if this is affecting anything. We'll find out later in the video if it affects how efficient it runs compared to the T238's same 28K RPM. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and throw this guy in. Yeah, she was being a stubborn one. But I'm going to have to replace that at another date. Oh, great. I'm just going to disconnect this. Because the orientation of these wiring, you have to go over the top of the positive. Otherwise, you can't get your grip on. Excuse me. The cap on. I think the motor height is just fine, so I'm just going to test it real quick. Yeah, that sounds good. Time to test. T238's max amperage pull and semi-auto 10 shots. Yep, that's pretty close to the Solink's motor. 12.4 amps. Solink was 12.2, so interestingly enough, they're about the same. 0.2 amps is negligible, if you ask me. Alright, full auto. Let's go to disconnect the motor. Alright, 2-second burst. Okay, so that 17.3, that is a little bit more than the Solink. The Solink got 15.2 amps. And the OEM got 21.9 amps. And as you can see, Solink motor is 12.2 amps in semi and 15.2 amps in full auto. Compared to the T238s and OEM motor, we're already seeing some interesting results. Okay, now for my favorite part, we're going to go and do the chrono now and see what kind of rounds per second trigger response. Now, let's see how these motors stack up in that rounds per second test. Starting with the OEM motor, both brushless motors are up here. Right here is going to be the rounds per second. And here we go. Let's see what the OEM gets. Anyhow, that's actually pretty damn fast for a OEM motor. Usually I see it about 16, but 19 rounds a second for the OEM motor. Not bad. All right, let's move on to the next motor. Next is the star of the show, the Solink motor. Obviously you can't see it, but it's in there. Here's proof. Okay. All right, guys, let's see what she gets on full auto. Damn. 23.4 rounds a second. Woohoo! That's a significant increase. And for those who are wondering, I'll go ahead and spam semi so you get an idea what the trigger response is like if you were to spam in semi. Some brushless motors start up faster than others. There you go. Use your best judgment on that. But I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next motor. All right, so we're on the T238 brushless motor, finally. Let's see how many rounds per second she gets. So rounds per second is going to be displayed right here. 23.6 rounds a second. That's pretty good. With RPS being a good indicator of trigger response, it's clear that the Solink motor takes the edge here. Faster RPS means quicker shots, and in airsoft, that could be the difference between tagging someone out or getting tagged yourself. After testing, here's how each motor performed. As you can see, both the Solink LITE and the T238 motor provides a significant upgrade over the OEM motor. The OEM motor surprised me with a 19 rounds per second in full auto, but it draws much more power, especially in semi-auto mode, pulling a whopping 25.1 amps. Which most of your smaller LiPo batteries that say 25C with at least 1100 mAh is barely enough to supply this power. If your LiPo heats up spamming semi, safe bet it's too small for your airsoft gun or something's wrong. The Solink LITE motor offers 23.4 rounds per second with a lower amp draw of 12.2 amps in semi and 15.2 amps in full auto, making it both a powerful and efficient. The T238 motor edges out with a 23.6 rounds per second, but pulls 12.4 amps in semi and a slightly higher 17.3 amps in full auto. This makes it a great performer, but with a bit of a more power draw. Ultimately, the Solink LITE offers a strong balance of speed and efficiency, while the T238 motor gives you just a bit more speed if that's your priority. Let me know in the comments which motor you'd go for. And if you want a full review on the T238 brushless motor, just click that card shown on the screen in front of you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy, guys.